welcome back to another episode of My Legacy Garage. Today, we're down at camp because, well, the season is over. Boo. But that means we need to winterize the camper. So, that's what we're doing. Stick around and see how it's done. Everybody knows the camper's worst enemy in the wintertime? Water. First thing to consider is somewhere in your camper is a water heater. Ours is here underneath the bunk. On the water heater, you can see there's 3 valves down there. One for the hot water, one for the cold water, and one is a bypass. In order to winterize your camper, you need to close the hot water and the cold water and open that bypass. And then you need to go outside and take the plug out of the water heater to drain it, which I'll show you in a second. Some other important things to consider when you're winterizing your camper. It's not just winterizing the water system that you have to worry about. There's other things too. For example, do you have some drinks in the cabinet? Maybe some canned goods? Toothpaste, shampoo, anything that has liquid in it has to go. Any kind of food has to go, or you're going to get all kind of critters in here over the wintertime. Got to clean all that stuff out. We like to go ahead and give the camper a good thorough cleaning at that time too, since you got all the stuff out of it before you close it up for the winter. Speaking of critters, we like to use some home defense around the outside and where the trash can goes, cabinets that had food in them, around on the floor, just to try and keep some of the critters out. Some people like to use mothballs. I don't particularly like the smell of those in the spring, and I don't care how much you air it out, it's going to stink like mothballs for the whole next season, so we really try and avoid that. Mothballs are, however, very effective, so if the smell doesn't bother you, I totally recommend them. They really keep the mice out. We like to really flush the black water tank out real good before we shut everything down for the season. Now, I do this periodically through the season, but I'm going to really clean it out now. We're going to fill her all the way up and then send it down the chute. Make sure it's good and clean in there. This particular camper is equipped with a tank flush, which makes that a lot easier. First thing you really got to do to winterize, turn the water off and take the hose off. Now we need to get ourselves disconnected from the camper itself. Which is going to allow us to hook up to actually do the winterizing. So as you can see, we're draining the water out. And what this is the low point drain. Some people think that just draining the water out and blowing it out with air compressor is fine. I prefer to put antifreeze in the lines as well. So I've turned the valves inside, isolated the water heater so we can go ahead and drain it, while the low point drain is draining everything out of the inside of the camper, and then we can move on to the next step. So I usually use a socket for this, which I forgot to bring with. So we're going to make do with a pair of channel lock pliers. I say we're going to make do. The trick is to get in here without damaging anything, which is easier said than done. There we go. We got it loose. Well, it's still not loose enough to turn by hand, but you can see the water dripping out of it. I like to leave the plug out all winter long. I put it someplace safe in the camper so it doesn't get lost. Gone ahead and charged the compressor up. Now this nifty little tool right here allows you to adjust air pressure that goes from the compressor through the hose out to whatever you're pumping. I set it at about 40 psi, and that's what I use to blow the water out of the lines and push the antifreeze through the lines. Years ago, I made this contraption to be able to winterize not just campers, but pressure washers, all sorts of stuff. And what I'm going to do now is fill it with antifreeze and then use air pressure to push it through the lines and push the water out through the faucets, and we'll run each faucet until we get pink showing. And that's how we know it's winterized. So we did the shower, sink. People forget about the toilet. It requires flushing out as well. So let's do that. Gone ahead and winterized all the lines inside the camper. Now we're going to go ahead and close that fresh water tank that's done draining, and we're going to put the rest of the antifreeze in there, hit the pump, go around, open up all the faucets, make sure everything's good and cleared out, and get some of that antifreeze in the traps and all the sinks and everything, and then we'll shut it all down, open the lines, and let everything drain. Now we've got all the lines filled with antifreeze. The last thing we're going to do is open up every spigot faucet we can find, and we're going to go outside, open all the low point drains, and we're going to drain as much out of everything as we can so it's not laying in there over the winter. I don't know if it helps or not, but that's the way I do it. That's kind of the thing with winterizing a camper. It's kind of like, there's not really a wrong way to do it, as long as in the end the lines don't freeze. I know some people use a transfer pump, stick it right in the jug and pump the antifreeze through the lines that way. I didn't want to go buy something. I made that contraption I have years ago. It works, so as long as I still have it, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? There you have it. That's how you winterize a camper. It's not really that hard when you get down to it. It's just a matter of getting the water out, getting the antifreeze in, and everybody's happy. I'm going to go around and close off the drain ports and shut the gas off. Once that's done, there's a couple of breakers inside I'm going to shut off for refrigerators and stuff like that, TVs, just to make sure nothing accidentally comes on. I'm going to leave the electric hooked up because I want the battery to stay up in case we come here in the wintertime, so that we have a little bit of, you know, light, can run the heat, stuff like that, without having to worry about hooking electric and all that stuff up. Now what I've done is shut off all the 110 breakers in the camper. So the only thing that's going to work is stuff that's on a 12 volt circuit. Water pump, lights, stuff like that. But of course the only thing we're really going to need is lights. And if we come here in the wintertime and we want to use the heat or something like that, we might turn this on and turn the refrigerator on and stuff like that. For the most part, it's done for the year. Thanks for watching another episode of My Legacy Garage. If this video helped you out, make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button. You never know what we'll do next.